We're on the hunt for a new rifle from G&G. See what I did there? In this episode of Airsoftology Reviews. Okay, bad dad jokes aside, we are looking at one of G&G's newest rifles, and this one falls squarely in their intermediate lineup. So right between that Combat Machines and that GT Advanced lineup, and this one is the new Predator rifle. So their intermediate line, if you guys didn't know G&G, most of you guys are probably familiar with the Combat Machines. That's when you think of the brand, that is the gun that comes to mind when it comes to G&G. Well, they actually have quite a few different offerings. I mean, tons and tons of rifles, and there's a lot of different variation in their intermediate or GC lineup, which is where this guy falls. And some have polymer bodies, but this one is full metal tip to tip. So externally, like I was talking about, you do get this rail. I'm going to talk about the rail first because let's face it, it is absolutely the coolest part of this rifle. It looks to me kind of like a dragon or a snake here on the end, but they still make it look tactical, so it's not hokey. It looks like it has teeth here at the top and the bottom. It looks like maybe some eyes if you look closely here. All in all, a really neat look. And I love the idea that they like recessed the flash hider all the way down here. But if you want to put a suppressor on, they do have threads down in here. So you can actually get a smaller diameter suppressor, put it on there and get that really cool look to where it's kind of like biting around it. I would definitely go with a black one, it looks good. Moving on down, you get all the rail space up top here, tons of room for everything. You do get the included flip up front and rear sights, an imitation gas block and gas tube underneath. Fantastic touch for an intermediate rifle, and tons of key mod rail sections. So you can put on the rails, whatever you want. It is airsoft spec, so if you need to pick up any extras, you're going to want to make sure to get the airsoft spec version, which the good news is a lot cheaper than the mil spec one. Rail itself is held in place by two little screws right here on the side. It's free float. I love that. They've really stepped up the design on it and went with something you get on a real AR. Then moving to the upper receiver here, you get all the normal stuff you'd find, but a really neat double ambi style charging handle here. And I like it because if you move the right side, the left side moves, you move the left, the right moves. So if you're a lefty or righty, this gun's good for you. And speaking of that, all of your controls are ambi. So all you lefties out there that ask me all the time, hey Jonathan, what's a good gun for us that are lefties? This one should be really high on the list. Even the mag release over here on this side is ambi. So you can use the mag on your left or your right, fire selector left or right, and since most of us are righties, sorry lefties out there, they did chop the left one a little bit, or the right side over here, so it's not biting into your hand if you're shooting right-handed. On the side, you get all the markings, you get a unique serial number, really cool recessed fire selector markings here, and neat little fire selector. The design itself is upgraded. Notice a lot of companies are stepping up all the design details, and G&G is helping with that. They put so many tiny features into their guns to make it look extra premium, including right here, this trigger guard. It's even bent. So, I mean, all the little details add up to a premium looking gun. Rounding out the externals, we get a grip and a stock, and I give G&G some awesome credit because, I mean, if you guys haven't noticed, this is a pretty cool green gun. It's called Hunter Green. This is the color this one comes in. It comes in a few different colors, but I do kind of like it. I would more call it lizard green since we're going with the Predator look. It's not Ranger. It's not that subdued. It's got like kind of a little bit of brightness to it, but not so much to make it stand out. But the point I'm trying to make here is they matched the polymer on the grip and the stock perfectly to the paint job. And if you guys don't realize how hard that is to do, to get those colors, especially a color as unique as the one they used on this, just right, that is a feat among itself. So I think they really killed it with that. The stock itself is the new G&G style, which I like a bunch. It locks into place here. You can pop it open. It's really hard to, there you go, crack it loose, set the position you want, and then you snap it into place like that. You're set. You also have a little battery compartment here that pops down the bottom. You can store extra batteries or whatever you want, Skittles or snacks in there. Huge rubber butt pad. You press the button here, it swivels to the side. You're not going to lose this in case you want to get to your battery. And of course, you have all the battery space inside of there with a little room taken up by something we're going to talk about in the internals. But before we get to the internals, you thought I was going, got one thing left, is their high caps. And again, G&G's done a lot to upgrade it. Rubberized grip around the side of the high cap, kind of where my fingers are from here to here. It's all rubberized, it's grooved, so it's super easy to get a hold of, but not too large where you can't get it in a standard actual mag pouch. And again, like I said, it's a high cap, so you're gonna get about 330 or so rounds in here with the wheel on the bottom to give you all the ammo you need to get you going. So under the hood, you're getting that intermediate mech box from G&G, metal shell, metal gears, metal cylinder, all the stuff you'd expect to get from a really well-built, intermediate gun. You do get a plastic hop-up, which is their standard kind. It's got the green dials on it. It's the regular kind, and I think if there's anything I really wish they would change, those hop-ups are good, they're just not super good. And I think more and more companies are moving to that nice dial type that kind of lock into place, and I really would like to see that on this. But that, again, is just me nitpicking, because when I was actually using this, setting this thing up, I actually played with this, an early version of it, at Operation Irene. Didn't have any trouble knocking people down at range, so don't let me discourage you about the hop-up. I would just like to see it the dial type instead. But the shining, crowning jewel, if you want to call it that, of the internals is their new electronic trigger system, and it's included in this gun. So you get a full MOSFET type system in here. So you got the MOSFET in the buffer tube. Remember I mentioned earlier, it takes up some space, but that's okay though. You can still fit the 2-type battery in here. You can even get a triple LiPo in here, which is what I used to actually do Chronos here in a second with, so you can kind of see rate of fire there. Inside this dock, no problem. They give you a ton of space, but having the electronic trigger system, you get perfect semi-auto file. You get that MOSFET-driven electronic trigger system semi-auto, which is so hard to find unless you do what G&G's done here and put that electronic trigger inside. All right, as promised, we're taking out to the Chrono and saw nice 340 feet per second, which is just perfect for those of you who want to play this thing indoors, outdoors, no problem at all. If you want to tune it up, no problem. You can actually bump this thing up easily, simple spring change, and you're up and running, and you get this thing up to that 400 mark if you want to go that high. But for me, I found even 350 guns are highly competitive in outdoor play, especially the way I play in the engagement distance. Indoor, this thing is going to shine, especially with that rate of fire. Mid-ish to lowish 20s a second on an 11.1 20C G&G LiPo. This thing is a BB hose. Now, if you guys aren't a full auto fan, don't worry. That means your trigger semi-auto response and shot time between shots is going to be so small. It's going to feel so good and so crisp. So all in all, this gun is definitely built for both indoor and out. So guys, if you're looking for something that will definitely fit all the bills, actually really lightweight with all the aluminum built in here, I expected this big rail to be heavier, but it's actually light. It's nice, it's easy to move around the battlefield. It's not gonna wear you out all day, and a real comfortable grip. Take a look at the new G&G Predator, and of course, if you guys wanna know more about this rifle or the rest of the G&G lineup, as always, I have a link in the description below. As always, thanks for tuning in. If you're not currently a subscriber, click on the logo in the bottom right or in the description and you'll always be in the know. Plus, if you like what you saw in this video and want to learn more, I've got a link down there as well. And if you haven't had your airsoft fix just yet, click in the videos on the right or use the info button at the top of the screen for more. And as the saying goes, everyone has an opinion and I do want to hear yours. So give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on this video, comment, and share.